This is a production of the AJ Podcast Network.
So grind, I'ma be on top, penetrate my thoughts. Slow grind, I'ma be on top, penetrate my thoughts. Slow grind, I'ma be on top, penetrate my thoughts. Slow grind, I'ma be on top, penetrate my thoughts.
Here we go again with another episode of the Passage Home Podcast starring the Dr. Stanley Russian, and I'm your co-host, Back Civilian. Now, please go ahead and visit us on www.linktree.com/Passage Home Podcast. There you can find all of our links where you can listen to our show. And don't forget to ask Alexa to play the Passage Home Podcast for you from iHeartRadio. And no, don't forget about my other podcast starring my boy AJ, myself, and my newest co-host, Anne Marie. I Can Relate to That podcast, where we can talk about things we all can relate to. You can look for us on www.linktree.com/AJ and Bax. And don't forget to ask Alexa to play that podcast for you as well. Now, if you're interested in getting in hold of us or want to sponsor us, please reach us at passagehomepodcast@gmail.com. Without further ado, Dr. Stanley Russian, how are you doing today, sir?
By the grace of God, everything is amazing. Been doing a little traveling. It's been a minute since we've been on, but this is going to be worth the wait. Our guest today is amongst one of the most humble people that I've met, and is really blessed of God. Make sure that is directed, her blessings are directed to those in need in the world that's crying out for what she's been blessed with, the ability to do. I've mentioned her in previous podcasts. I want to introduce Shelita Burke and ask her for a slight, once again, her bio could probably take up the whole show. We'll take up the whole show. So I'm just going to ask her for a brief bio, and we're going to get into the show.
I'm just a human being having a human experience. I stand for compassion and love for myself and for others. I'm an entrepreneur. I am a techie. I am a musician. I am simply human.
We are really blessed to have you here. With your background, I just want to touch on, because the humility here, I have to reach and some things I want to address to my audience through your compassion. This sister Bax has been able to take people from Home Depot and from waitresses at restaurants and turn them into financial.
Wow.
She's been able to turn them into crypto millionaires and more well off than they were in the situation they were. And
that's crazy.
She's done quite well, above and beyond what I could ask or think for herself. But it wasn't just her selfishness. She reached back to other people to put them in a more advantageous position in life. So I just want you to speak briefly on one of the things that you've done out there insofar as being a cryptologist and teaching through your cryptology how to deal with cryptocurrency.
Crypto is the future of money. It's the future of finance. And I feel that if more people had more information on what cryptocurrency does, how to invest, how to participate, that more and more people would be involved in the space. When it comes to investing in general, this is not financial advice. This is educational advice. I recommend that you invest based on information instead of investing in something that you don't understand, something that you don't know anything about. So that's the reason why I got into cryptocurrency education and basically providing an environment that facilitates people to be educated with crypto so that they're not just buying Bitcoins and Ethereum and other cryptocurrencies blindly. It's important to understand what you're investing in. It's important to understand and do research. And so I've created easy ways for people to do that. And when you look at the entire world and of finance and where things are going in our future, it's important to know that it's still super early. When you think that you're late, you're actually early. And when you think that you're early, you're probably 5 minutes early. And,
Wow.
you know, I just, I strongly believe that even when you do invest in anything in life, whether it's your time, whether it's your financial resources, whether it's your people resources, that's important to understand that it goes back to financial metabolism and having a certain financial independence that is created based on the goals that you set. Because if you don't measure it, it doesn't exist. And when you get to your goals financially, it's important to retain your financial metabolism, your financial wealth, your financial health by spending below your means and living below your means. Some people, when they come into new finances, they think, okay, how do I spend this? Because their financial metabolism is to burn it up really fast, kind of like food, right? And instead of doing that, think about how the things that you are acquiring financially can work for you instead of working against you.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Crypto is a big thing too. And I'm seeing everybody getting into it. Everybody's getting into NFTs, and it's something that I'm trying to get into myself. So it's like a blessing.
Bad word.
Bad word.
NFT.
That's a bad word.
For our guest. She's not an NFT enthusiast, but she does understand the technology behind it.
I will not make any statements on NFTs. I'm not going to say I'm for them or against them.
Okay.
I choose not to comment on them.
Okay. I understand.
No comment.
So we're gonna stick to crypto. We're gonna stick to crypto.
Yes.
NFTs are crypto. NFTs are non-fungible tokens that are unique in each token. It's kind of like an asset that if you look at a regular cryptocurrency like Ethereum, all the Ethereum tokens are pretty much the same, but an NFT has unique identifiers. And a lot of people are using NFTs for like artwork and one-of-a-kind kind of things in the digital space. However, that's just to educate you on what they are, not to say to invest in them or not to invest in them.
Okay, that makes sense. Makes sense.
So, hey, Bax.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to have to treat her like a hostile, humble person, a hostile guest, because there's some things that she hasn't said that I wanted and had to directly ask her. For instance, next month, I plan personally to be in Egypt to see this sister break another record in Egypt, skydiving. And I just want to briefly, we've hung out, and it's really cool. I've hung out at her concerts. We haven't talked about our music. And by the way, our opening song is something that she personally wrote, and she writes every day. She designing her music. I want to ask her about skydiving next before we get into the subject of the show, and I want to ask specifically, what does it feel like when you're skydiving, and particularly when you were skydiving over the Giza pyramids? Because I know with all the skydives you've done around the world, that point in time and during that period that you did that, there was a very spiritual significance at the time. And I know that you're constantly drawing on your spirituality to write your music. I want to specify and ask, what did it feel like when you were skydiving over the Giza pyramid in Egypt last November?
Well, it feels like meditation on steroids. It's something where when you're in that airplane, you really have to leave your ego on the airplane and jump out without the ego. And it's kind of like separating yourself from the ego, which I think is a beautiful thing. And the view of the pyramids from, a C-130 aircraft is amazing. And it's not something you can really experience the same way on the ground. And on the ground, it's majestic, it's magical. But when you're in the sky, it's like you feel like an angel flying over them. And I'm just so lucky to have the opportunity to do that. I'm going to be doing it again, actually, in November, the first week of November, which is going to be interesting. And I'm excited.
Yes. And I also want to mention that that she's going back to Egypt to do another dive next month. And I would love to be there. I plan to be there. If I don't jump, I just want to be there for the moment, because it's amazing time of the year in November.
How do you jumpers? So you guys skydive. How do you conquer that fear? Because I can't do it. I don't even know how to start. I want to.
I was afraid of heights, and when I did my first skydive, I was doing a lot of breathing exercises before I went up in the plane. And I just told myself, like, I'm going to get over this fear. I got into the plane, I cleared my mind, and we got up to the altitude, and it was 1, 2, 3 out the door with the person attached to you. And
what was the altitude?
That was 13,000 feet. And
I've
done over 200 skydives. I started skydiving in July of 2020. So I've been doing it for a year and a couple of months. And even though I have over 200 skydives now, every single time I jump out the plane, I have to get over a new fear. And I take something else up on the plane with me. Anything that I need to forgive, anything I need to let go. And then as I'm jumping out, I'm visualizing letting go. I'm visualizing forgiving whatever I need to forgive. And it's really therapeutic.
Wow. So getting over that fear helps you get over other fears.
Yes. Once you start skydiving, you feel so invincible. Like I find myself to be less afraid of life in general.
I got to do it.
Wow. So when you just said that brings to mind a picture that you took in Egypt with your sort of like a Tiger Woods pose. And for my audience, I'm going to put that picture in the description of what she means about feeling invincible. For me, to answer that question back, I've been a teacher for a long time, and some of the things that I taught women how to walk high and dangerous in construction. And on one job, I had to put on a game face to get there, to get them up there. And once upon a time, one of my participants, one of my students, she was hiding in the hallway, and the hallway didn't have any lights because it was, and so I heard her as I was going downstairs. She was in the shadows crying, and so she said, "I'm scared. I'm just scared. I don't want to go." She was shaking and she was crying. So what I told her was this, that don't for a moment think that no man that's ever walked on high and dangerous was not afraid. Fear is what keeps you alive. Because if you didn't have fear, you walk out in front of a train. And so I said, what the difference is, I'm going to show you the safety of how to do it, and you won't get hurt. I didn't bring you here to get hurt. That's what keeps you safe. And the enemy of all of that is complacency. Complacency is when you get very comfortable around something very dangerous. That's when the trouble starts. But as long as you can maintain safety, practices of safety will always keep you safe. And in any profession, or I don't care what you're doing, complacency will get you in trouble real fast.
That's awesome, man, because I have fears, man, and definitely heights. I'm going to be honest with one more of my fears. Heights is probably one of my biggest, but water, I still can't swim. I want to face those fears.
Right.
Swimming is so fun.
Yeah, I can't swim.
Yeah,
if you cannot swim, I'd recommend taking like a swimming lesson and then go and get your scuba diving license.
Okay, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna jump out the plane with y'all one day. I'm gonna get the courage to do it. I'm gonna start with roller coasters at the amusement park, and then I think I'm gonna go up in that plane.
Yeah, well, I can only describe this as a roller coaster on steroids mixed with some meth. Not that I know what meth is like, but it's very far out there. Yeah. Yeah. After I went skydiving, I understood what 150-mile hurricane that hit New Orleans is like, because I was going at 140. Yeah. So I can imagine that nobody should have stayed in a house in winds of 150 miles an hour. Anything could destroy your property traveling at that speed and stuff. But when, like I say, once, like she said, it's one of the safest things that you'll want to do, because when I jumped, there were women that jumped before me. The guy that was carrying me had jumped with a 102-year-old woman and a 90-year-old paraplegic. And so what I got to be scared of, and so, but it's an experience is addictive, like she said. But anyway, back to the podcast. Shelita, I want to ask you we didn't talk a lot about Africa, but you've been to several countries there, not only as a singer, but as a skydiver. And usually when you go, it ain't like you're in and out. You stay there, you get a chance to mingle with into the culture and stuff, and make it a trip. But what do you see as an African American entrepreneur that enable the average African American, if they went there in entrepreneurship, to thrive, not just survive?
I would say, if you're trying to do business in Africa, to talk to the locals and see how you can create a solution that meets their needs in their own language. And even if they speak English and you speak English, there's different dialects in terms of like what this community needs over what that community needs. And, like creating a solution that helps the community instead of detracts from the community would be one of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing is to have a budget. Definitely have a budget and maintain that budget, and spend below your means, live below your means.
That is a discipline.
Yes.
I'm still wrestling with the fact that they say that you've arrived if you can fly private and not take a selfie. I haven't arrived yet. Because I'm definitely going to take a selfie.
I think you have arrived when you're elevating consciousness for yourself and for others.
Right, absolutely. And I spent my life doing that. So
and one thing about Africa in particularly is when you go to Africa, not only is it so beautiful, but I really loved being out in nature and seeing like beautiful wild giraffes that were just so gorgeous, and the monkeys, and I just feel a different feeling there from the animals versus the United States. And yes, when I first saw the giraffe was scared of me and I was scared of it. And then we decided not to be afraid of each other. And the same thing with the zebras. When I first saw the wild zebras there, they were scared of me. I was scared of them. And then you get to this place of just beautiful bliss and peace with them. And, the animals have a lot of wisdom. We are animals ourselves. And it's just interesting to see different animals in their wild captivities. And when you go back to the States and you see the wild animals here, they're just so used to seeing so many people, and like the squirrels, they'll just come up and take your food and things like that. And I just thought it was interesting when you go to Africa and the places that I've been, the animals were not trying to come anywhere close to any of the humans. They're just like, we are us and you are they. And it's sad to think about how people are killing off the elephants. They're killing off the rhinos. They're killing off all these beautiful species of animals that need to be here with us, that help the ecosystems of the whole world exist. And that just hurts my heart. And, I feel like if we can all elevate our consciousness, that less of that would happen.
Absolutely. Which country did you see the most animals in?
So far, Namibia, Africa.
Wow.
Namibia is a beautiful place. Oh my gosh, so gorgeous, so lush, and wow, just full of abundance.
Any other African countries that you've skydived in other than Egypt and Namibia?
Egypt and Namibia are the only two that I've skydived in.
Okay.
So far.
Anything on your list of places in Africa that you have in mind?
Yes, I want to go to Kenya. Definitely want to go to Kenya. Oh yes, I would love to skydive in Kenya. I've already been to Morocco, but I haven't skydived in Morocco, so I would like to skydive in Morocco. I also would love to skydive in a country that's near Africa. Saudi Arabia would be amazing.
Wow.
Yes. Other countries, Ghana, I would love to skydive in Ghana.
So when you say skydiving, like in these places, is there like a designated area where you land, or do you just land anywhere, like anywhere in Africa? Like
that depends on who's taking you. So when we skydived in Namibia, we would get into the plane and we didn't know if we were landing at the beach, if we were landing at the beautiful mountains, or if we were landing at sand dunes, or if we were landing at the airport drop zone. So you didn't know until you got into the plane where you were going to land. And so that was pretty exciting. You can look out the plane and see beautiful animals. Like, oh, here's a beautiful animal there.
Yeah, but giraffes and things like that and zebra are fine. But wherever there's giraffes and zebras, there's predators. So those are people that I worry about.
Yes,
like
but
the
they don't want to
lions
eat. But they're not interested in eating you for dinner. They're not like humans.
Right.
Okay.
We're not really.
We just have to thank the heavens that they're not like humans. You know, like what humans are doing to animals right now. Oh my gosh, it's so inhumane.
Yeah, we're not on their food chain for the most part. Because first of all, we don't taste that good to any animal. Because think about this. A deer does nothing all day except for eat vegan food and run. We can't even come close to omega-3s that's in deer meat. And so when they look at us, they might bite you, but we're not on their food chain. That's why most sharks, they'll bite you, but sharks ain't out to eat people. They bite them and spit and go off. Leave all the blood in the water. They leave. When is the last time you heard somebody consumed by a shark? You heard people get bitten, and the only reason they bite them is because looking up from where they are, if you're on a surfboard with 2 arms, 2 legs sticking out, and they think you're a sea creature. Stuff.
Yeah.
And as soon as they bite you, they leave. You say, oh yeah, it's so. Shelita may have another problem because she's a strict vegan. And so
I'm a radical vegan, not strict. I'm radical.
Radical. Okay.
I'm a radical vegan. I don't look down on other people who eat meat.
No, right.
However, I am very honest about my views in general.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that it's unethical to kill a cow, kill the baby cow, and then milk the cow and, consume the milk of another species that's not us.
Right.
Human beings are the only species that drink milk that's not of its own kind. We're the only species that does that.
Right.
And I just don't think that's ethical. But that's me, right? I also don't think it's ethical to eat fish.
Right.
They're killing off so many of the ocean life, and as that kills our oceans, it kills up a lot of the oxygen supply that we're breathing today. When you think about the whales in the water and the dolphins, and it's just so sad to see that. And I think as a world, if we can all decide as a world that we're going to eat less meat, for me, it's like never am I going to eat meat. But, for other people, if you could just eat less meat, you would see how that impacts the entire planet of cruelty-free eating, because you're eating with intention.
Just give me an idea. For my audience, in the description, please like and subscribe if you're a first-time listener. If you're a regular listener, please like. But in the pop-down menu, I'm going to put one of an app in there that's called Happy Cow.
Happy Cow.
Can you explain Happy Cow to our audience?
Yes, Happy Cow is an app where you can go anywhere in the world, anywhere in the United States, anywhere in the world, and you can see all the vegan options in that region. And you can also see vegetarian options for those of you that are vegetarian. And it's an amazing vegan app that will help you see all the vegan restaurants, vegan grocery stores, and where you can find food.
I would download that ASAP.
Yes.
Yeah. We definitely used that in New York, but while we were there, when the first restaurant, we're downtown Manhattan, and we're pulling out of a parking space, and so Bob, the brother that was with me, said, "What's on the app? Where's the nearest vegan restaurant?" And so I punch it in, so I see Beyond Sushi, and when I punched it, as he was pulling out, the store was 2 stores behind us. He had to back into the parking space. And once we ate there every day. That we were there for about 8 days. Every day we ate there, and we ate the leftovers for breakfast. And so it's an amazing app. And
I'm downloading it right now.
All right. So, Shelita, I want to thank you for sharing with us, contributing to our show. what you bring, and where you've been, where you come from, your humility. With we haven't even scratched the surface of the things that you've been involved with, and has been able to bless so many people. I really appreciate you. Vax appreciate you.
Definitely.
I'm sure my audience appreciate you and what you contributed. And is it, when I do the descriptions, is it okay to put a link in there for your crypto class?
I was just thinking that.
Yes, you can do that. That's fine.
All right. Can you send that to me? Because I'm going to send it right to him.
Yes, I can do that.
Once again, I want to thank you. I am humbled to have you on the show. Whether above or below, you've really been a blessing to the earth. By the way, back, she scuba dives also. So
Wow.
you catch her in the air, you catch her on the ground, you catch her under the sea. She's all over, and she's a blessing wherever she goes. And she's an abundance generator by the grace of God. And I really appreciate her as a friend. And so.
You got the best friends.
Thank you
Dr.
so
Stanley.
much for having me.
Yes.
Thanks for being here.
So, without further ado,
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Another episode of The Passage Home. We want to thank Shelita for joining our show. You guys, I'm so interested in her story. I'm so interested in this crypto thing we were talking about. I'm so interested in skydiving and scuba diving. Like, I'm so motivated. Dr. Stanley, you are the best mentor I ever had. We want you guys to have a great night and be blessed.
Sweet and pretty, 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 sweet and pretty.
This is a production of the AJ Podcast Network.